Hey, Dan here from Michigan again. I got a topic today that I really wanted to just kind of see not only what I feel about this, but what you feel about trust. A lot of people just do not trust. And that can be even after a long period of time, but especially when they first meet somebody. Um, we have a trust for a lot of things happening in our world every day. For example, we trust the sun's going to come up. We trust that gravity is going to work and that we are going to be able to stay on the ground. We trust that that guy in front of us isn't going to change lanes unexpectedly. We trust that they're going to stop at the stoplight when you get a green light to go. They trust that you're going to be able to breathe air tomorrow. I mean, and today and anytime, right? We trust all of those things. But the hardest thing with us, I think, is just being able to trust someone, especially someone new. And I don't know what you think about that. And I'd love to hear it in the comments for sure. But I just have always been of the philosophy that, you trust people until they give you reason not to. Now, does that mean when I first meet somebody, I'm going to go ahead and just trust them? I think what we try to do at first is say, is this somebody we like? Is this somebody we can relate to? Is this somebody that's not just a nutbag? Okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into our first meeting with somebody. They say that within the first 15 or 30 seconds or minute that you meet somebody, you've already made a decision about that person. And that's probably true in a lot of ways because we do make quick decisions about people that we just meet. But I think if you start carrying on a conversation with somebody, you're asking them questions, you're seeing how they answer, you're seeing their body language, you seeing how the reactions are, whether they're actually listening to you, watching you, whether they're trying to decide whether they like you or not. And then once you've gotten past that initial part of it, is like, okay, is this somebody I could trust? If I create a situation where I make this statement, is that something that's going to get to everybody else that I don't want? And it just seems like to me that it's easier to go ahead and build a relationship trusting somebody rather than questioning everything you're going to say or do with that person before you do it because you're not sure whether you can trust them. And I think, it's funny because when I went through my divorce a number of years ago, I did a lot of dating, or kind of dating, meeting people online and then meeting them in person, right? And so once you met them in person, it was amazing to me. And I don't say this just because it's women. I just say I was dating or looking to date women. So that's who I was talking to. There was a lot of mistrust and whether or not they could even begin to trust anybody. In fact, I was in a relationship for over 5 years that found out that that person just could never really trust another man. And it's sad. It really is because you leave yourself so closed and you're constantly questioning things and you have anxiety over stuff and you're, constantly want to check things and is that person doing this or that? Or they telling, it's crazy, right? I mean, you got to look at it and go, is trust a good thing right from the get-go or isn't it? And so when I think about trusting people, maybe we give them little things to test their trust, right? You say, hey, listen, don't tell anybody about this, and then you hear about it. Okay. That kind of, now you got to question that person. I thought we had agreed that you weren't going to tell anybody about this, but now and so and so. Well, I thought it was all right if so and so knew about it. Well, that's not quite what I meant, but okay. And we let that go, right? And then next time we give that information or something that we don't really want to be shared with anyone besides that person, and it happens again, now we're at a point where we have to decide, is this somebody that can be trusted? Definitely not somebody I want to share that information with that I don't really want to get around. And there's not a whole lot that I don't want to get around or that I care about, but there's enough that you don't want to be able to share that with somebody you just can't trust. And so, over the years, like when my sons were growing up, I always told my son, I trust you. This is where you tell me where you're at, and that's fine. As long as I know that you're there, great. And there was one time, and my oldest son, I remember this time where he wasn't where he was supposed to be and said he was. And now, did that break my trust in my son? No, because he had always been trustworthy with me. I mean, I'm sure there was things he did. In fact, I found out later that, there were things that he was kind of doing behind my back, but as all teenagers do, right? So, he was trying to see how far he could take something, but not necessarily that I couldn't trust him. And I feel that, it becomes reciprocal, right? So if you trust somebody openly and they feel that, I think that over time, even if they are a not trustful person, they will tend to start trusting you. And that's a good thing, right? Maybe some people, like I said, some people are harder to get to earn. You almost have to earn the trust over and over and over and over. That can be exhausting. And unless you're really into that person or you really care about that person, to constantly have to prove to them that you're a trustworthy person when you know you are is something that is exhausting, right? You don't really want to do that. And sometimes they surprise you. It's like you've known someone for such a long time, and then all of a sudden it's like, you don't trust me about that? You're kind of shocked because you didn't realize that was there, right? So I just wonder what people's opinions are on this, what you think about trust as a whole, because we are always put in a position to either trust or not trust someone, right? And if everybody was more open with, I trust that person until they give me a reason not to, would that be a good thing? Because maybe some people are a little naive, right? And I've been there. I had definitely have been on the naive part at times. So it has come back to bite me where I just thought that I could for sure trust that person, only to find out that I was being very naive. And we hear, con artists, they're very good at reading people that are super trustworthy, or they give trust easy. And they're way open to finding and using that trust in a way that's going to be detrimental to that other person, whether it be taking their money or taking their trust to use it in some other way, getting them to go along with something because they are a trusting person. So I'm not saying we should be naive about things. We really need to pay attention. But I just feel it's so much lighter and easier to just figure, hey, I trust this. I got enough information about this person that I feel I can trust them, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And hopefully that'll be a very welcoming thing, and that I won't regret it, right? So again, what do you think? I mean, have you really been burned when you've been the person that's like, I trust people right pretty much from the get-go? And if you have changed now into the person that doesn't trust anybody until they've really earned it, I'm not sure which is better, a way to go. And I'd really like to hear everybody's opinion on that. Anyway, that's mine. I like to trust people right up front, pretty much within a little bit of time after I've met them. unless they've given me some good reason or some good signals right up front that says, no, you can't trust this person. Okay. And then just move on. Right. So, again, my channel at Dan Procopio, talk about all kinds of things on here. Hopefully, we'll get things where you've got interest enough to give an opinion and like and share, and maybe get other people involved in it too. So share that with somebody else, and hopefully you'll subscribe to the channel as well. Okay. Have a phenomenal day. Good talking with you.